You are listening to Mining Stock Education, where you'll learn from the top leaders in the natural resource sector and uncover quality mining investment opportunities.
But it was decided, let's de-stress the money-raising situation by doing this non-brokered private placement. So now we can pay our rig. We have that rig. And we're going to buy some long lead items that we actually have to purchase in the next week or so, or put the money down to make sure we still hit our July 2022 spud date.
Welcome back to Mining Stock Education. I'm your host, Bill Powers. We're getting an update from Trillion Energy. This is a hopefully soon-to-be natural gas producer in the Black Sea off the coast of Turkey. They have hundreds of millions of dollars of infrastructure already in place. The platforms, the pipes at the bottom of the Black Sea pumping into their processing facility onshore. So we just need a little CapEx to spud these wells, which we hope to do this year. Art, welcome back onto the program. You've just announced the financing to accomplish this goal. Can you walk us through the financing? It was a lower share price than many people thought, but share with us your rationale for doing it, please.
Okay, yeah, thanks for having me back on the show. It's a time I like to be on right now because we actually have the money for what I've been saying. So yeah, so our non-brokered private placement we're doing right now is our first, the equity raise, and we are raising 10 million. We were going to close yesterday, but we're going to close probably today because we're basically fully subscribed.
And we're speaking on Wednesday, just for listeners that hear this on Thursday.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And the unit was 16.5 cents with half a warrant at 45 cents with a 2-year timeline on that. And when people say 16.5 cents, they say, why is it so low? We actually got the price reservation before we had the big upswing in the share value here in the last little while. But also the way the marketing goes is that if we had asked for a 22 or 20 cent share, the unit attached to it would have been a full warrant, right? And so if you give a lower share price, which was 16.5 cents, we got to give half a warrant instead of a full warrant. And when you look at the value, say $10 million we want to raise at 16.5 cents at half a warrant, that basically is 90 million total shares or equity paper, like a 60 million units. But if you had 20 cents with a full unit, a full warrant, you have an extra 10 million pieces of paper in there. So you end up having more dilution at a higher share price with a full warrant compared to what we got. And that's just the way the market is at this moment. And the important thing to remember, however, is that for the last little while, I said we're going to have our July 2022 spud date. And we signed the MOU, which we did a news release on. And in that contract, there is a reservation price that we have to pay this week. And so we are still have Echelon as our advisor as a news release. And so they still have other things in the plan, but it was decided let's de-stress the money-raising situation by doing this non-brokered private placement. So now we can pay our rig. We have that rig. And we're going to buy some long lead items that we actually have to purchase in the next week or so, or put the money down to make sure we still hit our July 2022 spud date. And just in case people don't know, spud date means the start of drilling. And the other question you asked, is this enough money to do the full program? So this first phase basically de-stresses the money raise. So it gives us more option because now we know we're going to meet our July start of drill date because we have these long lead items done. So we don't really need the other money until June. So in between, so another 10 million we need. So a full 20 million Canadian, right? So that's not US, that's Canadian. So we have the first full 10 now, then we get the next 10. And with that, we don't have to go back to the market because we'll have self-generating revenue to actually continuously fund our program. But in addition, though, when we start getting to that point, we can then also sub out a royalty or something like that. However, by having the fact that we don't need the rest of the money until June allows us to pursue other options. Some debt component, potentially. Again, like I said, a royalty. And so, and maybe the next raise, if we do it, will be at a higher price, right? And that's all up to Echelon, our advisor there.
Is there any talk, you mentioned in the past that there's an appetite for natural gas in this part of the world in London, on the London Stock Exchange. Are you considering that at all as an option at this point in time?
Yeah, that's a question that's brought up. And I find that we went, when you move to an exchange, there's a lot of manpower, a lot of things you cannot change. So you have to stay, you can't raise money or you can't do this because you got to file documents. So at this moment, I have enough money in. I know I have enough money on the way to start this program, to drill it. Once I have the A and B program, which is the 7 wells and the 10 wells, and we're really producing well, and our value is quite high, then I might consider another market, like you say, in London. And potentially the reason for that is, like I mentioned to everybody, SASB, it's going to generate a lot of money. It's a company maker, but I see that cash flow used to find the exploration, larger prospects off the block. And at that time, maybe we might have to do a debt component of 100, 150 million. And then you want to be on a bigger board where larger debt people actually look.
And that would be revolving credit too, right? Just to clarify, the 100 million like line of credit
would not be convertible. No,
exactly. That's what investors care about. They're saying,
it's just straight money.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what's the time frame for that? That's another question I've been getting. Obviously, we're hopefully spudding in July. By December, you're going to have multiple wells online. 2023, is that when you're looking to go after
exploration?
The big exploration, yes.
So the last few incidents that happened, or the last big incident that happened in the world here, I'm going to accelerate it. So potentially, maybe if we raise an extra $1 million, or if I get a debt component, instead of getting 5, I'm going to get 6. I want to actually start defining blocks to apply for by this summer, right? And so maybe even earlier, but by this summer, you have blocks. And how, I don't know if I explained it before, how it works is, first of all, we have data nobody else has. We have expertise in the area. So we know where some of these are. And how it works in Turkey is that we go to them and we say, we have this work program that we're going to do. And that is our bid. And that is held secret. They then go out and is gazetted for, I think, 3 or 4 months. And the winning bid, based on work, not cash, wins that block. The fact that we have data that other people don't have, the fact that we have onshore facility, all that kind of stuff, we have a competitive advantage. I want to be selecting the blocks. I would like to be like August, September, and have that in the gazetted. And then once that happens, you then will be drilling. You try to do some more seismic, and then you'll drill maybe a year or 2 years later.
Okay, so you do have to do some studies then. The 3D seismic is what you would still need before you define your targeting?
Yeah, so we have the targets defined, but when you talk about potentially $20 million a well, to spend an extra $500,000 or $1 million to even lower the risk by 20-30% is well worth the money.
So last year, I believe on my show, you pointed out a 7-kilometer structure that you've identified. And then I said, Art, did you reveal your cards here, on YouTube before everybody? And then share with listeners what your response to me was.
I forget.
Well, you said, Bill, nobody knows where it is except me. But basically something like that could be a TCF or more. I'm answering your question. I'm ignoring that question because I don't want anybody to know where it is. Oh, okay. Right? All right. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So next question. Okay. You kind of laid out the timeline. Inflation, everybody's being hit by inflation. We're looking at, what is it? $13 US MCF to be paid, which is kind of amazing. But what is your production cost? That surely has had to go up as well in this inflationary environment.
Yeah, that's correct. And the last price increase now we have is $15 US. So that's quite good. So for SASB, we predominantly pay a fixed monthly cost. And so right now it's about $100,000. So if we average, so that what that means is as your production increases, your unit cost decreases for OPEX. And for about 6 to 8 years, the average OPEX cost is 24 cents, right? And that's an MCF. So even if inflation were to increase 10%, you just add about 2.5 cents to that. So now you're paying 26.5 cents for your op cost. So really right now it's not an issue for us.
A year ago, Art, when we started featuring your company, the questions always came in about the Turkish currency and what is the risk there. I received a couple questions recently about that. Can you share your perspective on whether your company is exposed to the Turkish lira?
Yeah, so our company is not, and I'll try to explain it again. So imagine the Turkish border like a sheet of plexiglass. And on the side that's not in the Turkish country, you have the price of gas, which is in US dollars, right? So it's out there. So you're paying $15 an MCF. You have the Turkish government who sets the price. They say it's at $15. Anything that comes across the invisible barrier into Turkey is converted to Turkish lira. So they convert it. They say, okay, because they sell the gas to the Turkish people and they pay in Turkish lira. So it's $15 converted to the exchange rate Turkish lira across that invisible barrier. And that's what they sell the gas to industry. And it's set by the government, but there are many buyers. So you'll have groups of industry that have their own buyer, all that kind of stuff, but they're set on that BOTAS price. And then when I get paid for my gas, it's converted back to US dollars because my percentage is very small, how much we produce. And the price of gas is based on the external price. And so if we had an inflation problem, the Turkish government would end up spending more money buying the gas than what they sell it in country. So that's how it protects us with our gas prices.
And because Turkey imports, I believe, about 90% of their gas.
That's correct. Yeah,
they will be buying your gas. Like you're not going to be shipping your gas to other European nations that now need it, especially after the ban on Russian exports.
That's correct. Until maybe we find a couple of TCF, right? And that's the thing is that Turkey is a NATO country, right? And so NATO right now is looking at not buying Russian gas, right? And so any source of gas that's non-Russian, and Turkey really likes the fact that it's domestic gas, it has number one priority.
Is there any potential of bringing in a major partner? You know, I'll throw out the name Exxon or Chevron, in addition to TPAO, who owns 51% of this project? Or is it just you two moving this forward? Is that the only option?
Yeah, it's not the only option, but it's the only one that I will agree to. And I will guarantee that TPAO would also do that. They have a ROFR, and if we were to bring somebody in, they would just take it.
Okay, got it. All right, so cash flow, December 2022, if you're successful, what's your monthly cash flow in December 2022? Give us an idea, please.
You're stretching my brain here. So I believe that was at the $9 range. So this November, December, I think is about $3.4 million US free cash flow per month. Right. And that's from the first activities that we're doing with Program A. And then because each well takes about a month to drill and 15 days to complete. And then with the second program, the number B program, again, that's about 10 wells. So that'll be November 2023 probably. In that ways, we'll be up to 7.4 million US dollars per month after all costs.
Okay.
And so that's the thing about it is I want to use that cash flow to look for the big giants that are off the block.
Okay. Question came in, Black Sea shipping lanes, are they safe? And please ask Art about the safety and accessibility of the wells and the shipping lanes to and from the wells in the Black Sea.
So our wells are about 8 or 12 kilometers offshore, and they actually occur in like a bit of an embayment. So they're protected. The other issue, not the issue, but the other thing is that Romania, where our rig comes from, is a NATO country. Then you have Bulgaria, and then you have Turkey. And there is no international waters in the Black Sea. So you have Turkish waters going straight into Romanian waters. And so we're bringing in the rig from Romania through their waters right into our waters, into Turkey's waters, and into our place. And then again, the way out is all either Bulgaria or Turkish waters. So they're all NATO countries. And you've heard what they said about NATO countries, that they're going to protect every inch of NATO soil.
Bulgaria, you mentioned Bulgaria. You have a project in Bulgaria. Is that kind of becoming more prospective now with the increase in natural gas price and the need for natural gas from outside of Russia?
Yeah. So initially, when I was working on this project, I like conventional projects. So conventional gas, like a big balloon sitting there. And that's why I focused on SASB. That's going to be the cash flow, the engine. And I put the Bulgarian property on the back burner. Like, we still have it. We're still doing some work on it and stuff like that. And I've been looking at that since 2011, which is a long time. It's non-conventional. Now, I think there is some conventional in there because, so I'll get back. It's non-conventional. It's a coal bed methane project, which is a lot of bread and butter in the States and other places, but it hasn't been done in Bulgaria. We have a engineering report that has a prospective resource of about 1 TCF. And that's based on, so we have many stacked coals, and that's based on not all the coals. But that's a report that was done in 2014 to initiate the first initial program. And so they say there's 1 TCF gas, 1 TCF of gas that's potentially recoverable. And
you own 100% of this project too.
Yeah, we own 100% of it. And this project wasn't, will it produce gas? It was, how much gas will it produce? And another reason why I liked it is that we're only about 15 kilometers from a major gas pipeline. And so I always try to make sure infrastructure is close. So there's no use having a TCF that's a zillion miles away. It's right by a high gas pipeline. So now we're going to take a look at that, because with the price of gas that we have in this part of the world and the shortage of gas, this project now needs to be really dusted off and looked at. We're all up to snuff on it, like it's all okay. We just put it on the back burner.
Okay.
So I'm going to try to get a news release out here in the next week or so on it.
And could you bring a partner on board to develop that project?
Yeah, that's one that we could bring a partner in, and if the price is right, potentially we could do that.
Okay. So your ticker symbol, you redomiciled back to Canada. Your ticker symbol is TCF in Canada. In Frankfurt, you trade under 3P2N. Now in the States, you've been trading under TCFF, but talk us through what's going on with the ticker symbol and a little, with FINRA, everything. People want to know what's going on with the U.S. ticker.
Yeah, okay. I can tell you that I must handle 20 phone calls and 50 emails a day on that. And when we redomiciled, you know that the OTC and the CSE has a co-listing agreement, right? And that's why we managed to list on the Canadian Security Exchange, and that wasn't a big issue. So when we redomiciled, we said we wanted the code list. And so a CUSIP, CUSIP, is a number they attach to each share, right? So it's the same share that trades on the OTC is exactly the same share that trades on the CSE. And so when we redomiciled, there was I don't want to say an error, an oversight, and I blame the bureaucracy because it wasn't us. And so what happened was the CUSIP for the Canadian one became active. And the QSIP for the United States became inactive because it had no symbol to attach to. They did not put the TCFF attached to that QSIP. And so we got dropped off the board. So thinking, I'm 64, so I'm used to the old way, thinking that a phone call would say, look, there was an accident. You accidentally didn't attach that QSIP to our symbol that we have in the OTC. Can you turn that switch on? And the answer was, nope, you have to reapply. And so initially, again, I thought, how difficult can it be? So the first little while we tried, and it turns out it's not something I want to do. So we hired a group, and we're paying a bonus to get this done, and it'll be done here next week. So the shares are there. It's just that you can't see them.
All right. So you're going to be closing on this private placement money pretty soon. Your press release indicated. Is that right, Art?
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
And then you're going to be traveling also. You put out a press release to Romania and Turkey. So you're going to make sure boots on the ground that this well spuds in July. That's
correct. And so I'm just waiting for my partner to set up meetings for them, because if I go this week and they're not available for me, then I end up waiting another week. So I'm waiting for and they're quite busy because they're actually now drilling another deep well. And so this could be the third huge discovery for them. So, so potentially next week, the meetings line up. I'll go there, talk to the manager, and then I'll talk down to the technical people. I'll go and talk to them, and then go to Romania. But also I'm going to zip over to Bulgaria now and check my office there and where things are.
Okay. And we're using the Uranus rig too. So that's the bigger 333 feet. So you don't need to, previously last year when we spoke, you were going to use the Saturn and then the Uranus. Now you just use the deeper of the two rigs. That's
correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And we have that. So that's a done deal now.
Yep. Great. And you're putting the down payment on this week or next week?
It's Friday.
Friday. Okay.
Yep.
All right. One day.
And they know we got the money, so they're happy.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
All right. Website is TrillionEnergy.com. You heard an update from CEO Art Halleran. Art, thank you for coming on the show and providing this update.
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity.